Hey everyone, welcome to the temple. You're here with me, Charlie Kingsand. I'm so glad you're here. Today I'm talking to you about why twin flames block each other. So if you've been blocked by your twin flame, divine feminine, divine masculine, whoever it is, whether it's blocked on social media, blocked on their phone, blocked on just blocked from life in general, this is for you. Okay, so I'm laughing a little bit because both my twin and I have blocked each other multiple times. And when you look back on it, it's one of those things where you think, two things really. One, it's so ridiculous. Like, why did we ever do that? But you can only really see that when you're in a good place, like not necessarily with your twin, but good for yourself, because actually what you can see is how your own ridiculousness, which it is really when you think about it, caused or contributed to that showing up for you in your reality. Because remember, you are the creator of your reality. Therefore, everything that shows up in your experience is to some degree or wholly actually created by you. And so when you look at why you created that and why it showed up for you, you just think, why did I spend so much time and energy creating that to show up in my experience? And it's not that there's anything bad about it, okay? It's just that it was obviously something that you needed to learn from, as everything is. But when you are in this stage where you do get to look back on it and you do feel good and things like that don't even matter, the second thing to do with that, and why I'm laughing a little bit, is because it's almost ridiculous to the point of kind of sad. It's like, why did we waste so much time and energy in lack of belief for ourselves, like lack of belief in each other, lack of belief in what exists, lack of belief in the future, lack of belief in possibility, lack of belief in trust, lack of belief in love? Like, why did we waste so much time on the opposite? Like, not that it's ever playing games, although I'll go through the reasons as to very specifically as to why people block in just a second and what to do about it if you're blocked still. But yeah, it's just really sad. And so what I would love to encourage you to do if you're experiencing blocking in any way is to really dig deep into asking yourself, well, how did I show up in creating this experience? Because yeah, like I said, it's all down to these core beliefs that we hold about ourselves, which our twin then reflects back to this. Because of course, if you don't feel lovable, if you don't feel like you're worthy of love, if you don't feel loved, if you don't feel to some degree safe for yourself, within yourself, within your body, within your own mind, within your own castle, essentially, that you're creating for yourself, your twin also isn't going to feel loved, trusted, safe, adored, cherished, all the things that you really want your twin to experience. They can only experience this as much as you can give that to yourself. And I know that sounds really cheesy. And again, I'll explain maybe as we go through this video what I mean by that. But that is really what's going on at a core level. It's like someone else is showing up for you in this way because deep down, they don't feel good enough. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel safe. They don't feel like you trust them. They don't trust themselves. They don't, they're really not in that place of being able to see or receive or experience the love that you hold for each other, even though they know it's there deep down, which is why twins never really go anywhere. If you're experiencing blocking, it's because in some way there is some part of you that is shut down or closed down to yourself, because your twin only mirrors, okay? And if we believe in terms of twin flames, that twin flames mirror, and you might say, well, I didn't block them, but blocking is a 3D action as a result of a 5D belief that you hold, okay, or a 4D belief that you hold. I'll go into 3D, 4D, 5D, 500D, whatever, right, in another video, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. So anyway then, okay, why twin flames block, the core reasons. So we're going to go a bit deeper into this. So the first reason why twin flames block, and like I said, both my twin flame and I have blocked each other at various points. So this isn't about the divine feminine blocking or the divine masculine blocking. It's about you, either one of you blocking, because both twins block, okay? So why do we block them? Number one, and these reasons aren't in any order, self-protection. So sometimes your twin or you don't trust yourselves to not reach out to the other person, okay? So it's like you almost play a mind game on yourself that you're somehow safe by putting up an imaginary fence, okay? So your twin, if they're doing it, they're retreating to stay in their safety zone, essentially, okay? So rather than having this dragged out energy where they don't know if you're going to message and they're scared that you might not message and, they're checking their phone all the time and it's driving them crazy and they're really worried the more time goes on that you're not messaging them and they haven't heard from you, they retreat to stay safe, okay? And you've got to remember this. If somebody is retreating to stay safe, it's because they're feeling unsafe. Now, why would they be feeling unsafe? Well, usually it's because we have so many unsettled emotions and fears around something that you have to kind of close down to almost make this what feels like a finalized choice in the moment to retreat and protect yourself, okay? But what happens is usually when you block someone, it's from a place of emotional reactivity or response, okay? And that's actually number two. So the first thing is self-protection, okay? You're literally retreating to stay safe, or your twin flame is retreating to stay safe, keep themselves safe, because they don't know, they don't want to keep exposing themselves either to this kind of ongoing energy loop, which kind of is frightening for them because they don't know if or when or how they're going to hear from you, and the not knowing is actually killing them, or because they're responding to something they've seen, heard, experienced, or believed in the 3D. So they're blocking, or you're blocking as an emotional response, okay? It's like a knee-jerk reaction to something that, it's like putting your hand in a fire, okay? So, you remove your hand. It's something that they've seen or experienced, or maybe something they haven't heard or experienced, okay? So say if your twin has birthday and you don't reach out on their birthday for whatever reason, or they didn't reach out to you on your birthday, and they might be feeling in so much pain as a result of that, they literally want to block that out and shut it down by taking the corresponding 3D choice of blocking you, because they're literally feeling so much emotion around it, and also fear. So a fear that because you didn't act or respond in a way that they expected, it's pushed them deep into this fear space. So now something to remember, and this is number 3, right? So number 1, you've got self-protection. Number 2, they're blocking as an emotional response. So if they've seen you online with another guy, or they've heard you, being out on a date, this is a classic one. So one of my clients last year was going through a preparation stage with her twin flame, and somebody kept reporting back to her, his car's always on the drive late, like he's always coming back late, and he and then another friend told her, I saw him out on a date, and she immediately went, that's it, I'm done, I'm walking away, I'm going to block him everywhere, and completely shut him out of my life. Now, of course, they're together, super happy, moving forward in the most incredible ways, and moving in together and all sorts of amazing things. But at the time, it was like, I have to shut that down, okay? So self-protection, blocking is an emotional response. And the third reason, which isn't that common in twin flames, but it does still happen, is as a control mechanism. So, if you do believe this is the case in your twin flame dynamic, so you've perhaps labeled your twin flame as controlling or narcissistic or whatever, really has a controlling personality, you have to remember the feelings that lie beneath the desire to control. So if you think your divine masculine or divine feminine or whatever is blocking you to try and elicit a certain response, like maybe to get you to respond or react in a certain way. And by the way, this is normally typical divine masculine behavior, not divine feminine, okay? So it's normally divine masculine who acts from the 3D in this way. So they're seeing something, they are essentially creating a situation for you to respond to. It's all 3D based, okay? And what might have happened is, what is going on here is that because this fear is driving this need to control, and especially in the early stages, actually, right? It really happens in early stages. he has learned somewhere along his journey in childhood or whatever, that being able to control particular situations keep him safe. And so that's how he's always shown up and very much stayed in the 3D, actually. And at least in the early stages of the twin flame relationship, control, because it gives him that feeling of safety. And he's always played this dynamic out in previous relationships. And what it means for him is, well, if I can just control X and Z, then I know I get Y. Now, what happens is when a divine masculine meets a divine feminine, the divine feminine is really confused by this behavior, right? She doesn't understand control methods of behavior. Like, she doesn't get it. And it just doesn't work on her, right? Because she is so in integrity to herself. She doesn't understand this behavior at all because she trusts her divine masculine. So then she experiences this deep internal conflict when then he shows up with controlling behavior, because she's like, well, why are you trying to control me when everything you want is right here? Like, I trust you deeply. Therefore, you must trust me. Therefore, there is no need to exhibit this control-based behavior. So therefore, she doesn't respond in the way that he expects. And she also is in deep integrity to herself, right? And to the way that she expects to be treated. So she very rarely responds emotionally or basically in the way that the divine masculine expects. And this is really where the divine masculine really starts to understand he cannot control or manipulate her like he might have done in past relationships, and that the only way he's actually going to be able to show up for her is in full love, because anything that is less than that, she is likely to just say, well, I'm just going to leave that here. I'm literally going to drop the ball because I don't like this ball and it's burning me, so I'm just going to drop it and leave it here and walk away. And she doesn't walk away to anybody else or to something different, which is a divine masculine fear, right? That she's going to move on until he moves into that space of trust. That's what he believes, okay? And so again, then that fuels his need to exhibit these control-based behaviors. But it really does not work on the divine feminine. And so eventually what happens is that the divine masculine learns that the only way he can actually show up for her and that she will respond to is in full love, and vice versa, okay? So because if the divine masculine or the divine feminine blocks, it's usually in response to something that has triggered them, right? Both. So this is a part of the journey, the blocking phase, let's call it that where not only do you move into a deeper space of understanding and trust of the other, actually, it's always a choice, right? And so what happens is when you receive blocking or when you give blocking, and both suffer, and I'll talk about this in a minute, both the receiver of the blocking and the deliverer of the blocking both struggle, and I'll tell you why in a second. But essentially, you get that choice where you get to look at, well, you know, why did I show up in this way where I either triggered somebody else into blocking me or I was triggered into blocking someone else? And how can I really take care of this part of me that felt the need to act or think or believe in this way, right? And it's funny, I saw a post, I think I've talked about this before, but I saw a post that said, if you haven't played blocking tennis with your twin flame, are you even a twin? And I'm starting to understand that actually, yeah, blocking is just a very normal and standard part of the twin flame journey. And it doesn't mean it has to show up in your dynamic. It doesn't mean that it's normal. It doesn't mean that it's acceptable. It just is very common. And I think it's because it's part of that stage where twins are not yet in full trust of the other. So what actually happens is in that space where one blocks the other is that both twins will look at why the blocking occurred, look at their emotions around it, and start to take some responsibility really for how they showed up as less than their best for the other. And it very much differs from 3D relationships where you can just actually go, well, they didn't reply to me, or they didn't show up in the way that I desired. Well, you know, screw that, I'm done, I'm walking away. And you do, and that's it, and it's done. With twin flames, because deep down at a core level, you actually completely believe in the connection that exists between you. There is a very deep trust on a really cellular level that occurs with true twin flames. You know that actually you are held in a very safe space. This is home, right? This is why twin flames are home to each other. So you actually know that you're held in a very safe space. But at the same time, it's like you only get the gift of being comfortable in that space when you know you've shown up only as your best self. And that doesn't mean you can't be flawed, or it doesn't mean you can't go through a hard time. And it doesn't mean that, past 3D behaviors or whatever won't show up for you, and your twin won't love you, or they'll get rid of you if you do something wrong, right? That's a horrible relationship. I don't know what that is, but it's not the twin flame dynamic. But it's simply what it means is that you start to really take responsibility for how you show up, because actually you understand that connection is so meaningful to you and it's so precious. Okay, so you want to take responsibility in a way that in a 3D partnership you would literally just be able to drop altogether. So when the twins start to see how they could have shown up as better for another, they're literally starting the healing process, right? Which is the twin flame journey, and recognizing where you can show up differently. Okay, so honestly, the other day, my twin flame said something to me, and it was about something that he had during our most recent time of being apart. He'd recognized something in himself, okay? Something that he does. It was about reactivity, actually. And I thought I was literally going to run around screaming and shouting hallelujah. Right? Because it's very rare that you hear of the divine masculine saying, I went away and I looked at how I was showing up, and he didn't use those words, right? I think I would have fallen over. But he very much acknowledged where he, without going into full detail, because he didn't, so I don't have full detail to share, right? And I wouldn't anyway, because that's his energy and that's him, and that's his energy to share or keep to himself, however he chooses, right? But, to even hear a divine masculine, or my divine masculine, expressing that they have gone away, reflected, and notice something about themselves, which could sometimes lead to them showing up as not their best, was just beautiful. Like, it was so great, because I think being self-reflective is so difficult in this world of blame culture. And for me, it was like, it wasn't just about him. It was like, you are one of the, I was going to say chosen ones, essentially. And it is a bit like that, right? The divine masculines who are ascending right now are essentially paving the way for other divine masculines, for other men to step into their sovereignty, to step into living life differently, to step into being able to, judge themselves with not criticism, because the world already does that. That's what the matrix is. The matrix is. It wants to criticize. It wants you to feel not good enough. But to be able to really beautifully reflect on, where did I not show up as my best here? And it's like, wow, you're actually really starting to trailblaze the way. And I don't think he even realizes he's doing this, because it's part of the journey, right? You don't sit there and self-reflect, and it's not like divine feminines sit there and go, oh, I'm self-reflecting. That's great. Now it means other divine feminines can do the same. But at the same time, when we open ourselves up in this way to being able to hold our flaws, I don't want to say flaws, that's not the right word, to hold ourselves up to a mirror, or to have our twin flame hold a mirror up for us, right? And see where we are not showing up in full love and integrity and authenticity. When we can see that for ourselves, we actually are. We're shaping how the people that come next, the children of the world, how people around us, like when we can do that, people around us shift and change as well. This is where, when we share our lessons, other people, get to take that away and start to assimilate that as part of their journey. And this is how the world changes. And so, being able to see him or witness him and experience him sharing that, although I wasn't in the best place to receive it at the time, having gone away and thought about it, it was just like, oh, wow, that's really amazing. You're actually starting to really ascend here. You're really starting to, live the journey that you decided you wanted to go on, right? When you were up in the stars, it's just beautiful. So Yeah. And it's so difficult to do. We live in blame culture. We live in a culture where it's easier to point the finger and say, he did this, she did that. Like, again, with blocking. So the reason for this post actually was because just recently I've had so many comments, and I love your comments. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much to me, your comments. I read them all and respond to as many as I can. But one of the most common comments I get on my videos are comments about how someone has blocked, my twin flame has blocked me, or I also get, I've blocked my twin, I'm moving on. Okay. And it's so much easier to do that because we live in this matrix blame culture that, you know, than actually taking responsibility and having self-awareness of how we showed up. So yeah, I was just really proud of him for having that self-awareness. And I could tell that he'd really taken the time to go away and think about how he was showing up in the world. So yeah, he was talking about reactivity, which is also, everyone, I know you've been waiting for this, and I'm sorry it's taken so long. I promised it months ago, but yeah, the reactivity is the theme of my upcoming twin flame meditation, which I know I've been promising you all for ages. I promise it's coming. But yeah, just to hear him say that was really beautiful and really reflective of how divine masculines are ascending, right? That are on this particular timeline. So I actually think reactivity, just as a side note, can be very beautiful. Like, it really reflects somebody, for me, who is deeply passionate. And again, I think to be a twin flame, I think you have to be passionate. You cannot be not passionate on this journey. Like, the world exists to make us all into conforming little robots. I've talked about this before, you know, filling our houses with IKEA and beige. And actually, you know, passion is one of the things that are actually that we're kind of lacking in the world, right? Passion and tenacity. And so, yeah, the world needs more passionate people. But the point was, slight tangent, it really showed me that the divine masculine does go away and process. And this is what I wanted to share, just like the divine feminine does. So I wanted to share that with you because I think, again, it can be really easy to assume that our counterparts either don't care, especially when they block, or they're not processing. But actually, they really do think the same way that we do, right? In a true twin flame connection, they are thinking and feeling and processing. Your counterpart, whether divine feminine or divine masculine, they are thinking, feeling, and processing just as much as you are. They really, really are, okay? And I know it can be hard to hold on to that when you're on the receiving end of being blocked. It very much looks like, oh, they don't care. But if you're a divine feminine, listening to this again, your job is not to be triggered out of trust and out of that space of unconditional love. And I'm not just talking about for your twin here. So go and watch my video on my blood sacrifice, because that's where I really talk about understanding unconditional love at a deeper level. It was always for you, so that you can extend that out to whoever might enter your sphere or your orbit or your universe, whatever it is. And of course, your twin then reflects that back to you, right? But so yeah, I can understand it's quite hard sometimes to really stay in trust when you're witnessing in the 3D something that you don't want to experience. But you have to remember, divine feminine, you're connected, like the leader of the connection, you connect. And this goes back to like ancient times. There's this beautiful image. I'll try and find it and I'll put it in a community post if I can, of this. It's an Egyptian image of essentially a woman and a man side by side. And you can tell, due to what she's wearing and the way that she's positioned and the way that she has her arms around or in front of the man, she is protecting him in one way, but then he is in the physical in front of her, leading her forward. And it's just really, it's just a really powerful reminder for divine feminines that you lead the connection energetically, and your job as a divine feminine is to stay in that place of trust, which is essentially, again, about trust for yourself. And so if you're receiving blocking behaviors, it can indicate where trust is lacking within yourself, within your own capability, within your own capacity to be able to lead and create the connection from the 5D. So yeah, so I really wanted to share that previous thing with you, because they really are thinking and feeling and processing just as much as you, whether it's divine masculine or divine feminine. So if you've been on the end of blocking, there are 3 things I want you to remember. If you're on the receiving end of being blocked, firstly, you have to look at how you showed up. Like, it's not common for your twin to just block you for no apparent reason whatsoever, even if they're very reactive, or they've got, short fuse or short trigger or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Normally you have shown up in some way prior. So ask yourself, did you constantly show full love for yourself and them? Were you in full trust that no matter what the 3D reality presents to you, you're always connected? Were you in, complete trust that they really do love you, that it's safe for you to stay in love and trust? Secondly, you're not alone. Like, you're really not. So like I said, my twin and I have blocked and unblocked one another countless times on every platform available. On our blocks, when you look back at them, you just kind of laugh and think, oh my gosh, we're literally ridiculous, because he would do things like block me and then message me on my old number a few hours later. And I would do things like block, unblock, 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 block, unblock. And so really all that's going on, right, is that both of you have very deep feelings and emotions towards one another, but you're both showing up as scared. And if you think about it, blocking is absolutely a fear-based behavior. It's not grounded in love, is it, right? It's just not. It's not grounded in love. But if you didn't care, and this is key, if you did not care, you wouldn't need to block. There would be just simply no emotion there at all, or very little emotion, right? And I'm sure we've all experienced people where, we've kind of just moved on. It's not... we've just been able to move on, and sure, there might have been a bit of pain with it, but you haven't ever really felt the need to block that person. Blocking is a very strong emotional decision, because if you didn't really care, you wouldn't need to block, would you? You wouldn't need to take that emotional response, I suppose, right? There would literally be no emotion there at all. And it just wouldn't be strong enough to ever take the very deliberate action of blocking. So if somebody has blocked you, it's usually not because they don't care. It's usually the opposite. They usually care very much, but they're operating from a place of fear and self-protection. And it's your chance to look at yourself and consider where you have been operating from a place of fear and self-protection. So the third thing to remember is blocking is rarely ever permanent, because either you or the universe or your twin will fix it in some way, okay? So in most cases, very naturally, your twin will unblock you. I usually unblock pretty fast because I can see pretty quickly how or when I'm not working from a space of love and trust or understanding. And I understand that blocking is literally blocking energy. And this is also important to remember. So when you block someone, you're blocking yourself in every area of your life. You are literally closing down an energetic channel, right? It's a belief that I need to shut down in order to protect myself. But when you are telling yourself, I need to close down, I'm going to close that down, I'm shutting this down, I'm shutting this person down, you're literally in that energy of closing down, shutting down. And while for a while that might feel like a release, generally what tends to happen is that you are also blocking yourself energetically in some way. So you might feel good for a week or two after blocking, maybe even not that long with twins, probably like a day or two. And then after that, you're kind of like starting to feel stuck and frustrated and annoyed and overwhelmed with kind of other things in your life start to, small things really start to bug you or irritate you. And it's like, yeah, because you've blocked yourself essentially, especially when you're blocking your twin, you're literally blocking yourself. And so you end up experiencing this blocking effect in other areas of your life. And of course, the only thing that fixes it is unblocking. Okay. So in most cases, very naturally, your twin will unblock you. So, and what can happen is when you go through that blocking effect that you receive where, you start to feel blocked in every area of your life, this impacts the person doing the blocking more than it does the person who is blocked. Because if you think about it, the person who is blocked doesn't really have much of a choice. So whenever I get blocked, I'm a bit like, oh, well, you blocked me. Okay, bye. Like, I'm literally very blasé about it. Like, it hurts for a second or two. But then I'm like, well, you blocked me. There's nothing I can do about it. That's your choice. You have to go sit with that now. Sure, I can go and take some time and look at where I contributed to that behavior, but what you are doing is not going to impact me, and it does not hurt me, because that is your choice. And I will always respect, and the divine feminine does always respect the choice of the divine masculine, right? I'm not going to try to find alternative ways to contact you. I'm not going to, blow up your phone. I'm not going to turn up on your doorstep or any of those crazy things from the 3D, because I honor your choice. And the divine feminine always does this for the divine masculine. And if that's what you want, fine, I'll go along with that, even though I know it's not what you want. Okay. So actually what happens is the divine masculine knows all this, he feels all this, or divine feminine, whoever's doing the blocking. And actually, they usually hurt more once those emotions have settled down a little bit and they can kind of look at themselves and how they showed up. They actually hurt more, and then they experience this blocking effect in every other area of their lives, than the person on the receiving end. Okay, so do not for one second think that the person who has blocked you is not in pain. Usually they are. Okay, so anyway, usually most twins unblock. Now, if you're like me, with the most stubborn twin flame in the entire universe, right? Which, yes, does piss me off no end, but is also kind of cute in some weird way. Honestly, I do literally, my divine masculine is, it's like having a buffalo in sinking sand. Like, that's how stubborn he is. Like, it's just super stubborn. So if you also have a stubborn twin flame, what needs to happen from the side of the divine feminine is literally, you can just stay in trust that the universe is going to take care of it. Like, you don't even need to think about it. So like I said, when I get blocked, when my twin blocks me, and I'm pretty sure he does the same, right? When I get blocked, I'm just like, oh, okay, you blocked me again. Okay, you're trying to keep yourself safe. I understand that I pissed you off. I'm sorry, in my head, right? So I will literally do some forgiveness work around, like, myself, but also for him for the blocking. And I know he feels that, and it helps lift them as well energetically, right? But also, I'm in that space where it's like, okay, if that's how you want to show up, one, there's nothing I can do about it other than look at my own behavior, and two, pray for you as I always do, and three, essentially, do some sort of forgiveness work around that. But beyond that, in the 3D divine masculine, that's your job. How you show up in the 3D is up to you. If that's the behavior that you want to present with, or that's how you want to show up in the world as somebody who does that, I'm going to let you get on with it. That's your choice. I respect your choice, okay? I don't need to do anything here, because if you're meant for me, if you're meant to be in my life and I'm meant to be in your life, the universe is going to take care of it. Like, I literally do not need to do anything, okay? And the universe always does. And honestly, the amount of times that, we've either gone through some sort of separation, preparation stage, whatever, and there has been something that has happened, both like extremely bad or horrendous, or something small that has led to weird, like very small things, like we would just drive past each other randomly, even though we've never driven past each other before, or not driven down that road before at that particular time, or like, whatever it is. And the universe literally takes care of it. And so something that happened to me, which was hilarious, right? I laughed so much. My twin blocked me everywhere, and I mean really hard blocked. Like, I was blocked everywhere, okay? And then literally about 8 days later, I dropped my phone in the sea when I was with the kids, and I literally remember fishing it out from the water and literally laughing to myself, thinking, my first thought was, it's an iPhone, it's waterproof, it's fine, it's going to be okay. But then I was like, oh my gosh, if it's not okay and I have to get a new phone, my twin is going to be so pissed off. And I was just laughing so much. And I did. Like, I didn't have to replace the phone, but my SIM card was water damaged. And so I was laughing because I was like, what? Again, with that level of ridiculousness that comes with twin flames, I was like, how does that even happen? Like, literally, how? How does that happen? There's just so many things like this. Anyway, I was just amazed. And I was, actually amazed. I was like, what are the actual chances of this happening? And it's about one of the million weird things that have happened in my twin flame connection that, okay, sure, maybe this was coincidence, but I don't believe in coincidence at all. I do not believe the universe has accidents. But this was one of those that did actually make me laugh. But think I was a bit in ego mode at the time, okay, over being blocked. And I tried to stay in love, but then I'd got to that point where I was like, fine, bye. And the universe is literally always like, no, I don't think so. That's just not happening. And the point is really, it's just safe for you to let go and trust that if it's meant to be, well, it will be. Like, it's safe for you to trust in that. It's safe for you even to trust in your twin, right? Because what you're actually saying is, you know what? I know you've blocked me. I know you've blocked me because there's so much emotion there. I know you've blocked me actually because you love me. I know, therefore, that actually I can trust you in like the weirdest kind of way, in a way that we're not taught to do by the Matrix, in the way that our current conditioning would never say. You know, if you look at popular relationship theory or opinion or whatever, I don't think there's a single article online that says if your person has blocked you, keep trusting them. You know, stay in love, stay in trust, it's all fine. But again, this is not an ordinary connection, okay? So it is, in my experience, 100% safe to actually stay in that place of trust. It's like, I can see how strong your emotions are right now, because if they weren't that strong, you wouldn't feel the need to block me. Therefore, you have a ton of feeling towards me. Therefore, I can trust that. And what you're actually doing is saying, I can trust in myself. I have that capacity to continue believing in, you know, the things that I desire to experience, and the things and my own capability to not be knocked or shaken or, you know, dictated to by my current circumstance. And what that is pure strength. When your circumstance does not dictate your reality, your belief in yourself dictates your reality, then you always get what you want anyway, no matter what that looks like, whether it's your twin flame coming to your life or something else, right? You always get what you want. But the key to being able to do that is to not look at the 3D reality and go, oh my gosh, this has happened, they're a bad person, I'm a bad person, these terrible things have gone wrong, how is it ever going to get fixed? Your job as a twin flame is to go, I know that person loves and trusts me unconditionally because I do for them, and I refuse to let what is showing up in front of me dictate how I feel about someone else. This is just a circumstance. It's just an old story playing out. I do not have to put my trust into this thing. I can put my trust in myself and my ability to literally create whatever I want, as long as I do not allow what I'm currently experiencing, my reality, to dictate how I feel. Okay? And so this is what I mean when I say, you know, the universe will sort it out for you. You don't need to worry about it. When you're in a state of fear or worry or distrust or lack of love or lack in some way, that's what you will receive mirrored back to you. And frequently that is in the form of blocking, right? Because what I want to say about blocking is this. Blocking can happen when neither of you are in full trust of the other or yourself. Like, it's so much easier to reject and push away and keep yourself safe than it is to show up in accountability, in love. And especially the divine masculine, actually, who operates from the 3D, right? It's often a bit easier for the divine feminine because she works from that place of trust. But even then, I don't want to pretend and make out like the divine feminine is an angel who is always connected, that is always in her higher self. That's not true either. And I work with a lot of divine feminines who are, my twin is doing this, my twin is doing that. Maybe they're not my twin, maybe this, maybe that. And again, there's just so much lack there and so much lack of trust. And I think sometimes the divine masculine gets made out to be, you know, the one with all these fear-based behaviors. And it's true, he does tend to have more because he does look at the 3D for confirmation, right? And especially early in the journey, he listens more to other people than he does his own inner voice. He doesn't make time and space for himself to connect with his intuition and connect with his gifts. So it is easier to some degree to say the divine masculine is doing this and doing that, but then think about it, then you're just doing the same thing as the divine masculine is doing. You're not trusting in your highest self, you're not showing up in your highest self. Instead, you're labeling and pointing the finger and looking at their behavior, right? I hate the word behavior. That's another word I really don't like. Actions, that's a better word. How they show up. Okay, so yeah, this is the thing. The divine masculine does tend to do that more because he looks at the 3D, right? But yeah, if the feminine does the same and says, oh, I'm blocked, my divine masculine did this, that, and the other, she is literally moving back when she does this into her broken or wounded energy states, that the Matrix gave to her. You're moving actually out of your divine femininity when you do that. We cannot use the 3D as our place for grounding. Okay, the 3D is not where we ground. The 3D is the old. The 3D is the past. The 3D is something else playing out. And as divine beings, we need to remember that energy is always in forward motion. And as kings and queens, we get to shape that energy and direct it any way we choose. But if we shape it from a place of reactivity or looking at the past or looking at the old story, that's all we're going to create more of, right? If you genuinely want to receive that really beautiful, strong, deeper love and trust in your life, right, regardless of who it's from, it's always going to start with you being in a space of deeper love and trust, not for somebody else without giving it to yourself first, okay? So if you're in this place right now of experiencing the blocking phase, you can ask, how can I show up in deeper love and trust? How can I fully trust my counterpart? Where are you still showing up in fear or expectation or needing them to be a certain way for you? Because once you can release expectation around how they should or shouldn't be showing up for you, and I think I talked about this in my last video, I'd got to that point where, it was the one before, it was the healing video, where I needed to share something with my divine masculine, but because of the situation, I also needed to be in that place of ultimate strength for myself, where if he did not show up, or he did not respond in the way that I needed to be completely okay with that. And I was. It was like, you know what? I do not need you. Even though I'm at probably one of the worst times in my life right now, I really do not need you to show up in any particular way for me right now, because actually I'm learning through this experience. I have learned very, very quickly through this experience. I've got me. I can take care of me. I can look after myself. I've got myself. I'm okay. I'm stable, right? I'm stable for myself. I'm taking care of my emotions because I can do that and I love me. And therefore, I don't need you to do or be anything for me. But yes, I would love your presence and your energy and your love and support right here. But if it can't be, that is okay. Like when you can get to that place, essentially, you're really letting go of need and moving into that space of self-love and trust for yourself, which is the unconditional love. And therefore, that is very freeing for your twin flame, your soulmate, your, love of your life, whatever it is, to be able to be there for you, to be able to show up for you, because you're releasing that pressure. And when you're looking at someone else saying, they blocked me, they did this, they did that, what you're actually holding is subconscious expectation that they do not do those things. How dare they? That's so bad. That's so awful. How could they do that? I would never do this to them. How can they treat me this way? It's judgment. And aside from the fact that nobody wants to be judged, especially by the person they love the most, and remember that love that exists between the twins is like nothing else on earth. Not only is it judgment, it is also not sexy, right? Nobody wants to be judged. That's like having a parent judging you. Ew, no. This does not happen in the temple, guys. This is not a temple action, okay? So, yeah. This is really about not needing anybody to show up in a certain way for you and just being able to say, you know what? Okay, you've blocked me. Well, I can see how much love and trust is there between us. So I still continue to love you. I still continue to trust you. I know you still love me. I know you still trust me. Therefore, it's safe for me to carry on about my business, completely ignore that action and trust that it's going to be taken care of, because either you will take care of it because you will recognize in yourself that actually that was not showing up as your highest self for yourself, not because you need it, but for themselves. I can trust that you are going to either show up differently for me or the universe is going to take care of it either way, and either way I am good. And that is the optimal state to be in, where blocking simply is not impacting your connection whatsoever, because your connection is not just about what is going on in the 3D, okay? So really, this is about you dropping into letting go of that story that you're blocked, right? We tend to get what we focus on. The more you focus on being blocked, the more energetically both you and your twin will feel blocked and stuck in life in general, not just your connection, right? You'll feel stuck and blocked in life, okay? And so this is where either twin can reclaim their power when you stop giving that old story life. You both hurt one another. You both got into fear mode. It's literally over done, dusted. And every minute is a chance to create something new, okay? Think about it. If you don't want something to continue to grow, why would you continue to feed it? You are literally the writer of your own story, and you get to write a new one anytime you choose. And this is how you can really start to understand, going back to the king and queen references, what being sovereign means. And as a divine feminine, okay, it means you are not limited to 3D beliefs and behaviors and the fear-based matrix determining how your reality looks. No, you decide. And remember, these connections are not of this world, so you literally do not need to look at what any human being is doing or the way they are acting as evidence for where your connection is at or what's going on in your reality. You get to decide. It's literally that simple. That simple. There is nothing more to it than that. You get to decide. Okay. So that's what I wanted to share with you about blocking today. If this has been useful for you in any way, I would love your comments, likes, shares. It means the world to me, and it helps get the word out to other divine feminines and divine masculines as well. So there was something else I wanted to say. What did I want to tell you guys? Honestly, there was something else I wanted to share with you. So, oh my gosh, there was something else that I meant to mention at the very start of this video and completely jumped into being blocked. But I have a brand new workshop launching tomorrow. My workshop Soulfire is about using the twin flame journey to live your best life ever. And I'm going to go into more details over on my community tab, so watch out for that, because if you still feel like this journey has more to uncover, if you're still missing your twin and you either want to become more peaceful around that connection or you want to actually reconnect, I'm going to be sharing some of the actual healing work in this workshop that people truly mean. So when people say, oh, you need to start the healing, it's like, yeah, great, but what does that even mean? Like, what is the actual work I need to do? So I'm going to get really intentional and clear around that in this workshop. And the goal of the workshop is to help you feel purposeful, powerful, intentional, calmer, more stabilized, and understanding your unique power as a divine feminine to literally create anything you want to experience. So we're going to move you past any lingering pain. We're going to help you uncover the really beautiful lessons of your twin flame journey that you might not have discovered yet. And it's really about going all in on your purpose in a healthy and aligned way, as well as reconnecting to that deep unconditional love in order for you to truly step into the true reason for you being a twin flame, okay? And my goal is also through this process to reconnect you with your twin. But I'm not going to make promises because it depends on you showing up. But yeah, I'm also going to be working with some of you one-on-one through this process. So it's going to be a workshop, but also with one-to-one support. So yeah, I'm super excited to share more details. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.